Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the American Masterminds podcast. I'm your host tonight, Topher Sheeler. I'm joined by my co-host, the one and only Mr. Rob Adams.
What up, what up?
We've got a guest tonight, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to recognize the name, but this story, Rob, tell them what we got.
Oh, man. Powerful. David Osmond is a friend of mine, and he has supported Thanksgiving's Heroes. We're going to learn tonight about choices that you can make in life that's going to make a huge difference. We're going to learn about the true definition of tough and a couple other things, and I'm excited to get started. Let's go.
Yeah, some tough guys right here. I'm honored to be alongside you, the three amigos.
Let's get a quick word from the sponsor real fast, and we'll jump right in.
Welcome to the American Masterminds podcast.
This episode is brought to you by AHA Realty.
If someone is thinking about buying or selling real estate, I always recommend they hire the best agent for the job.
Not all agents have the same skill, dedication, and commitment to results.
And there are a lot of moving parts in real estate, and a lot of things could go wrong.
Having the right team is critical to having a successful transaction.
My team and I provide exceptional customer service for our clients that is second to none.
We only ask that you give us the opportunity to sit down with you and ask you about your goals and interview for the job.
If you don't use me as your agent, I will never be upset. I'm just grateful for the opportunity to interview for the job.
Please reach out so we may share with you what we do to obtain excellent results for our clientele.
And so today, one of my favorite people in the world, I say that a lot. I got a lot of favorite people in the world. I'm a lucky man, surrounded by good people. I met you, David Osmond, and actually on the news for Thanksgiving's Heroes. You did an interview with me, and we talked a little bit about the mission and the goal. And you were like, now what are you doing? And I was like, help me understand this. And I kind of broke it down, and you were just like, wow, that's great.
First time I'd heard about what you were doing at the organization, and then you told me the genesis of where you came from and what the why behind it. And I was like, dude, you're a cool guy. That's awesome. You got a great style. You got the cool frames on the glasses.
Yeah, thanks.
Always got a great shirt, but more importantly, you got a great energy and a positive smile. Like you got just good energy.
I appreciate that. Being on the news is kind of terrifying. I'm just going to share that with everybody. It's kind of terrifying. The first time you do it, there's a lot of stuff going on. When there's people sitting in front of those cameras, there's an audience, not like a studio audience, but there's camera people and light guys and the technicians,
master
and stuff.
Control, and you got everybody, directors and producers. Yeah,
you just made it so easy. You're just like, just relax, Rob. Just relax. You're like, relax. And I'm sitting there just terrified, and you made it easy. And you told the story in such a way where I'm like, yeah, that's what we're doing. That's where we're going.
Exactly what we got.
And it was one of the first times where I'm like, I could do this. I could get away with like sharing the story. And so I appreciate your gently bringing me into that terrifying situation.
That's cool. I didn't even know that about this next step in your entertainment
life
debut, right?
Yeah.
You're a star, man.
And I was a little starstruck. The name Osmond, of course, has a legacy here in the state, and of course across the world. Everybody knows your aunt and uncle, Donnie and Marie, and I grew up watching them on TV. I've never met them before. I'm hoping I'm working into that now, but I've always just been. And then the brothers, they were always the brothers. And so your dad is which brother?
So who's my daddy?
Yeah.
Okay, his name's Alan Osmond.
Alan Osmond.
And you are from the East Coast, aren't you? You said aunt and uncle.
Oh, I have a German mom who
is that what it is?
Forced me to speak correctly.
Okay. Well, definitely prim and proper.
Yeah.
My aunt, I call her Aunt Marie, and Uncle Donnie, certainly. My dad is the oldest of this performing family of singers. He's not the oldest in the family, actually, mind you. There's 9 kids, 8 boys and 1 girl. Marie was the only girl.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And my dad was number 3 in the family. So the 2 oldest brothers of the Osmonds were born deaf, hard of hearing, actually. And my grandma was told, don't have any more kids because all your kids are going to be born deaf.
Wow.
And she had 7 more, and they all became singers.
Wow.
And so my dad, as he and his 3 younger brothers, from him, learned music from my grandpa. My grandma as well she played saxophone. They love music and started this little barbershop quartet. My grandpa taught them multiple part harmonies, and they became a sensation locally. And then ultimately, long story short, packed in, discovered by Walt Disney and then Andy Williams back in the 60s. He and his brother found them, put them on TV, and America fell in love with them. And then they signed a contract for years and years. And every single week they were on, became a household name as the Osmond Brothers. And then during that run of the show in the 60s, they introduced their 5th brother, Donny Osmond. And so it was this group of 5 brothers that just were tight and harmony and just cool. They had pizzazz and talent, and that's what they did their whole lives. And so I grew up in jumped aboard this train when I was a kid and just assumed every kid's dad did this thing called showbiz. And so I have 7 brothers, and I have 3 older brothers young and 4 younger. And my brothers and I learned those same routines, same songs. Since I was 2 years old, been singing, because that's what you do, right? And grew up in this tight infrastructure where we were touring around and growing, and all of a sudden music and showbiz is our life constantly. And so, yeah, music is my lifeblood.
What does that mean? Show business is your life? Because you can say that, and that seems like, okay, that makes sense. But show business is our life. Like, what does that look like for a young person?
Well, it is definitely, it was very consuming. It was all about what we were and how we communicated and how we expressed ourselves. And so my dad, being the producer of the Don Emery shows and the Osmond specials and the leader of the group, the songwriter of so many of the hits, it was always music and producing and a way to express yourself in song. And then when I got a chance to hit the stage and actually perform and work and then being trained by the best, and then because of the opportunities of having that foot in the door into an industry that I didn't even know was a business or what that even meant, got a chance to sign with Epic Sony and Curb Records. And we went from a barbershop quartet, evolved into a boy band. We're touring around with groups like New Kids on the Block, and it was all worldwide albums all over the place. And just, you're constantly on stage and you don't know anything else. And then you get a little bit older and you're like, this is not normal, actually. This is very strange. But by that time, it's just a way of life. And definitely it's your career, even as just a little kid into the tweens and teens. And we ultimately moved back to a place called Branson, Missouri when I was just a kid. And we had our own theater called the Osmond Family Theater. And
wow,
we're doing 2 shows a day, every single day. We took Sundays off. And so we did 12 plus shows every week, plus school, homeschool, private school, public school, like every kind of way to get your education, but also keep working. It is morning till night, constant just work and a little tight-knit bubble of a family opportunity. And I don't know, it was a family business without me even knowing that there was the business of the showbiz world. It was just music, and it just loved it.
That's how it was.
Yeah, it was a way of life.
Interesting. I think about like my family dynamic, and that's just how it was. Like, this is what we did, and there was no like thought of like, know. Yeah, is this seems unusual that we're behaving in this manner, but when you're doing it, it's what needs to be done.
Yeah,
and you show up. I think it's a beautiful story. Is there when you were growing up, was there a tipping point where you're like, wait a second, this is exceptional? Like, is there like a moment where you had that switch flip?
I mean, I'd always grew up around television studios and music studios, recording studios, and that was always normal, tour buses and everything else. But then kind of like when you start to see, you were always surrounded by fans, and we call them friends. I mean, people that would support your family. And so you were always around this group of adoration. And then as you kind of get around that tween age and size and mentality, and you coming of age and understanding, okay, this is a little bit of a bizarre industry. I think it was in those early years, especially once we had a consistent gig in one location where we didn't have to tour around. And all of a sudden I'm doing a lot of shows and people are traveling to come see you and support. I'm like, okay, this is a great way to do this. You know, we can have a family life. We can focus on our priorities and how my grandparents had established, even from the very beginning, for their family, what those things would be. I thought this is a cool way to be able to express yourself, and what a good opportunity now that I'm kind of a little bit older in those early teen years to see the opportunity that I had. It was an appreciation. It's bizarre, but then also you say this isn't normal to have a dad that he and his family, they've sold 100 million records. and had worldwide fame and success. I was just always so used to it, having it. Osmond, such a common, the recognizable thing, and that foot in the door.
It's a brand.
It was a brand.
Yeah.
And then you start to understand the value of what that is, and that there's an expectation. And then how can I live up to that? And how can I help support this group, and then also support myself and learn from this? And so we had a lot of great moments together as a family, and so thankful for that opportunity. And our family, like my brothers and I, we really were the only ones that followed that career path. I have a lot of cousins, so many of which did not go into this industry. I mean, definitely carry that name, but didn't follow that career. And so I knew at that point, as I'm watching a lot of my cousins go into different paths, and then ultimately even my brothers going different routes as far as what their education was going to be in their future. And music was just always my love language and how I was expressing myself. And opportunities were coming. I followed down that road. And so I knew it was a unique approach to take, and try to appreciate it every step of the way as much as I can.
Amazing. In this, your reality in this world of yours, like, what is it that you do? What do you do to stay centered? What do you do to stay grounded?
Currently, that's a great question. My dad always said, there's going to be some priorities here, and we're going to establish this. It's going to be God first, always will be, and a higher power. And then it's going to be family. And then it will be showbiz, and there's other things. And if we get that out of whack, we're done. We'll reset, and we won't do any of those things if you start to see things otherwise, and you sacrifice the things that matter most. And so I'm grateful for an established hierarchy of what matters most. And that started with my grandparents. And so these days, especially at where I am with my career, with all the other projects that I'm working on, and being able to diversify even industries that I'm in, music, of course, television, and then even in the corporate world as I'm running, companies and finding other paths of being able to have multiple streams of income and things that are a little more stable. I'm trying to find ways to also get off the road and be home, because my wife and I, we have our own children, and I'm trying to find ways to be home with them as much as possible. And I think the world is a little bit different, and especially where I'm at right now and what my focus is. To your question, what keeps me grounded is absolutely my wife, my children. They are my favorite people, and they're incredible. And I feel honored to be at the helm of this family, and hopefully can lead them and help them where they might want to go. My kids aren't going into any music fields. They're more athletic, and they're going to like soccer. My girls are incredible in club soccer, and to watch them go in different paths that I didn't is so cool. And I'm still learning so much, but also I recognize even still to date at this stage of my life, such an appreciation for the opportunities I had as a kid. As I'm learning even new industries in the corporate world, like just a deeper appreciation as I get to this age of my life to thank my dad, to thank my predecessors of what they created for me, that brand that means so much. Because it take a lifetime to build a reputation and 5 minutes to destroy it. So how can you protect that and do as much as you can to create something that you can pass along to your kids? So I'm trying to do that in many different ways, whether it's showbiz or not. I think you meet the same people on the way up as you do on the way down. And so finding a way to live a good life in whatever field and whatever capacity, and then find your passion to do what you love and love what you do. I saw that in my dad. I still see that. I mean, my dad is 76 years old, and he feels like he's in his early 30s. The body's willing, the spirit's willing, the body is weak. And so to see him kind of get to this point in his life too, where he's slowed down so much, I'm still learning from him about to appreciate every moment that you have, every time that you get a chance to, whether it's take the stage or take the reins of a project that you just are passionate about, to enjoy the ride, because life is so short. So what keeps me grounded is, I think, perspective of what matters most, and try to surround yourself with the ones that have that same focus. And you become like the 5 people you hang out with most, and hopefully I can become more like my kids and my wife, like to be with the people that appreciate who you are, what you do, and it's a cycle. What goes around comes around, and so I'm very much about family and the things that matter most, doing the things that matter most for the people that matter most.
I love that clarity. Thank you for that. You said, and I hear this theme, and I've heard it around you when I'm always around you. There's always a reoccurring theme of gratitude. And in my perspective, David, I feel as though gratitude is the muscle that needs development. It's the thing that puts us, that is the sauce. You know what I mean? Like everything else could be happening, but if you do it with gratitude, life is better. And I hear this theme in your life, in your language over and over again. How do you develop that muscle in your life?
Great question. We all have stuff. We all have challenges and hardship, right? My grandpa, who started this Osmond music tradition and the train that has now been a locomotive, just chugging along. He was in the Army. He was a military guy. He was a drill sergeant and a master sergeant during World War II. And
wow,
with the 9 kids, the 8 boys, 1 girl, like Marie had a bedroom and the rest of them had barracks, you know what I mean? Like, and inspections. And he raised them very stern and disciplined and strict with, being tough. He always said to me, David, life is tough, but so are you. So you be tough right back.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that a lot, the tenacity and the determination. So to that perspective, how I find it, the hardship, you can be bitter or you can be better. You can focus on the negative, and you can also find ways you can be your own placebo in some ways, whether it's rose-colored glasses or happy-go-lucky thinking. My dad has been a shining example of that in so many different ways. To your question and to your point, the hurdles and the hardships and the trips and the pits and the falls that help teach you and rough you up, and it's like a rock tumbler. It just polishes you if you allow it to, and you see that refinement fire. Everyone has a story and difficulties and challenges. The one that I face and have continued to face and still do today has been a physical challenge. I live with an autoimmune disease. It's called multiple sclerosis. And ironically, it's something that my dad and I share in common. My dad and I have not just the love of music that we share, but also that challenge physically. My dad, ever since I was a little kid, I saw him being larger than life and so physically active and just
powerful,
could just take on the world and accomplish anything. And then when he was diagnosed with MS, and it was just when I was a kid, to see him start to slow down physically, where it literally just took him off the stage when he started tripping and falling and couldn't make his guitar chords as fast. He couldn't move his fingers on the trumpet. He was dropping his mic and tripping on stage on the choreography. And to see him fail, I could see the pain of what that was, but not knowing mechanically what was actually going on. I just knew there was a name associated with it. And when he had to leave the stage, even at a young age, and a little boy, he always told me something that he's lived up to, and I try to live it the same because we share that same challenge, is that I may have MS, but MS does not have me. And don't ever let that, don't let it define who you are. I didn't know that was going to be a part of my life. Crazy as it sounds, I actually used to be in a wheelchair. I was in my mid-20s. I was invincible. I was actually dating my wife at the time. And when I had my first symptoms of what is now MS, what I now know it to be, it is literal physical pain that started in my toes, and it moved up my legs. And quickly, it moved up to my chest, hit my hands. My eyesight starts to diminish. And in a few months, I literally lose the capacity to be able to move my legs, walk. I have to leave the stage. I'm in LA working on great music projects and doing what I love and having so much fun. And all of a sudden, I can't even I can't take care of myself. I've become completely dependent on someone else. And my wife, then girlfriend, was my caretaker. And we knew we wanted to get married. We knew we wanted to have a family. And when I even proposed to her from my wheelchair, and this incredible person says yes, in sickness and health, the humility of that and the appreciation of, wow, that's a miracle in my life. That keeps me grounded. That perspective of knowing what I can't do allows me to focus on what I still can do. And so I just have a deep appreciation and gratitude, to your point, of when the time came when my toes would even move for the very first time, and I actually could control that little bit of my extremities. That moment was so glorious. I wish I could gift that to everybody, because no one's going to get out of here alive. We all know that. But so what are you going to do with the rest of the time that you do have? These little things, having MS, when I still have today, I'm still in massive pain every single second of the day. And if I get fidgety and you got a camera here, you probably can't even see it sometimes. It's because I'm shifting pain around all the time. But my legs are moving. I walked up these stairs. I'm so thankful for that. I was able to drive a car to be here with you guys. And so all the little things start meaning that much more to me. So I am grateful. I'm so thankful for everything. And I'm not all peaches and roses all the time. I'm not sunshine and lollipops. I hit the wall. But because I'm surrounding myself with the people that I think understand that, and we can support each other in the dark times, when I have to I literally collapse and I just sob out of pain and just getting that out, I know that I have a safe place to be around that and support each other. And so I am blessed beyond measure. The cup isn't just half full, it's overflowing. And my cards aren't beautiful that I'm playing right now, but hopefully I can play this hand out. And more importantly, that I can be an example for my kids the way my dad has to me. Not a perfect, shining, flawless thing about life, but a way to do it with grace and tenacity and optimism. I think that's the best that we can do, and it's a life well lived for sure.
Amen. Wow. Oof. I'll tell you, David, there's very few times where I'm left kind of speechless. I have something to say about everything all the time. Ask my friend Topher; he'll tell you.
This is rare. These are rare moments.
It's a rare moment.
I actually have a board somewhere that we wrote them down.
It's like days since the last accident. It's like days since Rob couldn't say.
Yeah. There is so many things to unpack in that message, and thank you for sharing that.
And I don't know if it makes sense. I'm just throwing it out on the table. It's spaghetti against the wall. But I am so grateful, and I'm grateful to be around good people that have that same perspective. And I know you've got that same thing. I mean, your story was wild. That's why at that TV studio, when you started telling me a little bit about the genesis of what Thanksgiving Hero was and what your life is and why you're doing what you do, I said, I connect with people like that. That overcome no matter what the odds.
And this is no. Well, last year I crashed my motorcycle on the way to see you, actually. And
I feel partly responsible.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I blame
feel partly responsible because I'm like, you got to come to this event.
It was. There's an organization that we're a part of. Is it okay if we talk? If I can bring
Absolutely,
that up?
yeah. I just came from a gathering.
So this organization, Tribe House, is from something called Corporate Alliance, and it's been years. It's
25 years.
25 years this has been going, and I've been to a lot of networking opportunities. And the thing about these networking opportunities that I hate is that when you're talking, they're looking at you and they're like, "Me?" Have you ever remember that joke? I don't know which comedian it was, but they're like, the person's ready to, "My turn, it's me," and they're not hearing you at all. And you can see it. You can see the person is dying to do their little elevator pitch and my turn to talk.
Yeah.
And I go to this thing and by the time I made it to Tribe House, I was done with my networking.
I get it. Dude.
Life. It is terrible.
Yeah.
But I went to Tribe House and they start out with the tribe story, or they start out with, and so you're talking about like this one time when you were in school and you got away with something.
Yeah.
And everybody in the group gets it. You've been.
I have. It's awesome.
It's cool,
the format's really cool.
And they go
it's
around.
Unique. It's very different.
It's unique. And then you're like listening to this guy that's like this button-up guy that's talking about this time that he got away with this thing in high school. And you're like, I need to know this guy better. And I don't even know what he does. I honestly don't. Yeah, I don't care. Yeah. I don't honestly care what that person does, but I care about the person.
Yeah.
And from that, then I have an opportunity. I can plug you in over here or plug you in over there. It's reverse networking, and it's so well done that you feel like you have an opportunity to connect with people on a level that's not business, but then business does come. If I care about you, I want you to succeed. And if you have a business that I have a connection that you need to know, well, then I can make that connection. And that's networking that I'm interested in.
Beautifully stated.
Thank you.
It's awesome. So I'm the president of this company called Tribe House. It's 25 years, right? You hear that word networking, you're like, ugh. And I had this, everyone kind of has that sticky feeling, and maybe Tribe House isn't for everybody, maybe not for you, but for me, the stickiness of, filling in a business card, what's in it for me? And hey, you want to buy a watch? And we all have business. We all have to keep the lights on. And whether it's that show business or you're selling whatever it might be, a lotion, potion, whatever. we all have to, we're all in sales. Everybody's got a product, a service. But what if we could do this instead of growing our networks and our opportunities? Let's start with learning about somebody, serving somebody. That will grow instead of the opposite way around. Let's flip the script on this. So it was literally, music was taken away from me twice, right? So literally physically when I was no longer able to do that anymore, or anything really for myself, to then all of a sudden get out of a wheelchair, to start doing music again and being able to write and perform and be able to express myself. What an incredible opportunity to get that back. All of a sudden I have so much more to write about, to sing about, and to appreciate. The second time was, of course, 2020, when everybody lost opportunity and everyone gets shut down, and entertainment was probably the least essential industry out there. I mean, there's no audiences, there's no touring, there's nothing. And all my eggs are in that basket. All the television productions, all of the tours, all everything. My calendar is just chock full. And that 2020 was one of the busiest years of my life. And March 17th, it just started dominoing and gone. In the fall, one swoop call was 90 shows gone in one thing. And I'm thinking, man, what am I going to do for like the rest of my life? This may not come back anytime soon. And it was my brother I didn't know what this group was, this Tribe House. He just goes, hey, why don't you go check out this group? Like there's some cool people there. That's all he told me.
Alaska, that brother?
Yeah, Doug.
Yeah.
I saw him last night. He's actually down visiting. So he just told me to go check out this place. There's cool people. I didn't know what it was. So I walked in, and to your point, I walk around the corner and I see, it's one of these things. Oh no!
Run away!
Oh no! Like that. I mean, we're all gonna pitch, and I totally get it. And there's a place and a time. I just was not in that frame of mind. So I'm like, well, I'll chalk it up. I'll get a bunch of business cards. We'll talk shop, and I'll get through these 2 hours, and I'll get out of here. And I sat down, and I had the totally opposite reverse experience, where I sat down with some really cool people that are industry professionals. They're entrepreneurs. They've got that spirit alive, but they cared more about, okay, what can I do for you?
Yeah.
And then anything that was self-serving. I said, whoa, this is what I believe in. This I can get behind. And this is going to change not just business, but also personal lives. That's a great work-life combination that I believe in, and I've experienced, again, in showbiz or not. The best networks, the best experiences with good people create the greatest opportunities. And whether it was even repeat tours or going back to same venues, when you meet those same people on the way up as you do on the way down, you can build great relationships. Sometimes the least likely source that you never expected can create the greatest opportunity.
Yep.
And I've seen that over and over and over and over again. That's what we try to do, and we try and create. That's why I got behind this company and said, let's grow this. Let's see if we can take this same engine of connection, real, genuine connection, and let's put it into different vehicles, different tribes, all with different vibes, different industries. And that's what we try to do. And so now that I'm still doing music, still doing television. I host for CBS television. I still do my kids' TV show out of New York in Times Square. On tours, my music, I have a big band, 16-piece big band orchestra, like a Frank Sinatra, Michael Bublé style.
Way. Wow.
All original arrangements and fresh stuff, original songs and just current stuff. So cool. The corporate world of being able to run this company, I'm so behind this. First of all, that it gives me the flexibility to be home, and to also be surrounded by people who I know genuinely care about others, and you're vested in each other's success. And again, whether it's a perfect direct contract or selling opportunity for that one person or not, sometimes the most important person you should meet professionally isn't in that room at all,
right?
But it's connected to someone that knows somebody, and that's where the power of networks are. And it's a small world, man. It is definitely connected. I saw that in showbiz at a young age, so I learned that fact that building great connections and friendships is so important, and to be the kind of person that someone wants to work with, so that they will call you back after the curtain goes down.
Mm. It's all about relationships. The more I do business, the less I realize it's about business.
Yeah,
the business will come if you can develop relationships. And I strive personally for authenticity in my life in every area. I really want everyone to know that I've got no side game. What you see is what you get with Rob. I don't pretend. And it's a place that you can do that freely and feel comfortable in that space. And so I was so very excited. I've done a lot of networking. Like I can tell you, I can make a long list of ones I've tried because I believe in what I just said about relationships and where can I meet more people? How can I, but there's some people you're not really meeting. You're just seeing their commercial.
Yeah.
All dressed up in their shirt with their name on it. And it's great, but not for me. I look forward to going to Tribe House. I enjoy it. It's a good experience for me. When it's on the calendar and I see it's coming up this week, I'm like, okay, let's do this.
Dude,
and
I'm so glad.
I've developed some tremendous friendships there. Like when I walk in, I'm getting a dozen hugs easily. Like, and I'm a hugger. Like I can't help it, but I run up and these guys and gals both are just like, it's so good to see you. And they mean it. It's a cool place. I'm driving there on my motorcycle. My motorcycle slips out from underneath me. I break my leg, I break my arm, and I break my shoulder like that. Could have died. I had my helmet on. Thank God.
You wouldn't be here.
Wear a helmet. I wouldn't be here. And I normally don't wear helmets. I'm just way too pretty to wear a helmet.
That and finding them the right size is hard. Keeping that all contained.
They don't sell the jumbo helmet.
Like a true friend.
They don't sell the jumbo helmet everywhere. No. I was on the SWAT team and they'd always give me a hard time. Like I was the only jumbo helmet. Like it's a real thing. Anyway.
Wait, hold on. Didn't you just have a doctor appointment and somebody was doing some sort of scan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
DEXA scan.
And you've got more muscle than she's ever seen on top of your skull?
I have more muscle in my head than anyone she'd ever seen. Thanks.
That was the comment back?
Yeah.
Literally, for a doctor, meathead.
Yeah.
Better than fathead.
Yeah. I may have protected me in this accident.
That's true.
More muscle on your head. That's wild. That's crazy.
I'm proud of that.
Your brains are explosively strong.
Yeah. I'm flexing my brain.
Mega mind.
In that accident, I had a moment of mortality and nothing like being diagnosed with MS at all. But there was a moment of I could have died. And that for that year in my recovery and still I have those inklings of that gratitude that I'm here. I'm so lucky to be sitting at the table with you right now. I was so blessed to be able to get here and to do those things. That is a gift that I received from God.
Yeah.
That I want to hang on to. I want to hang on to it. And I think that you in your position, you're reminded of that because of the pain that you have, the pain that you feel all the time. But I want our listeners to know that the gratitude for life is the sauce. That's where you're going to find your happiness and your fulfillment. If you feel grateful to be here, it's easy to be grateful for the conversation. It's easy to be grateful for the opportunity. Pretty soon, all of these things that we consider hard or the struggles that really are weighing on us in this world become less.
Yeah.
Because I know that it's not that big of a deal. Like, I know there's things happening on TV and in the social media and all these things that really are terrible, but not to me because I get to be here today. I got to wake up and I love that message that you shared and I can't compare it. There's no comparison, but I had a glimpse of that gratitude. How can you, or what would you say to someone to stay in that space, to hang on to that gratitude for life?
That's a great question. Thanks for sharing too. By the way, when I heard the news, my heart broke when I heard what happened to you. I lost my breath because life is fragile and we probably all lost somebody. And if you haven't, it's going to happen.
Yeah. Stick around.
Yeah. And so, how do you stay in that space? Pain is a constant reminder of how fragile and mortal we are. And so maybe having MS is one of the greatest things that happened to me. And this, to me, pales in comparison to so many others. So what it allows me to do is have a perspective of being able to open your eyes and look outward to see other people where they are. MS sucks. In fact, Terry Garr was a good friend of mine, the actress who passed away not too long ago. And she always told me every time she saw me, she had MS. She'd always say, David, MS is BS. And because she's in her wheelchair and can't move. And it's just like larger than life personality. And I can't get out of this prison. But I recognize that so many people have a challenge, whether it's a physical thing, MS, maybe it's cancer, maybe it's diabetes, like my little brother. Maybe it's addiction. Maybe it's financial problems. Maybe it's depression, anxiety. Maybe it's losing a child. And I met someone even recently who lost their child. And I think, oh my gosh, thank you for not giving me that. I will take this all day long. The pain is inevitable for all of us, every single one of us. But I also learned that suffering is optional. Pain inevitable, suffering optional, if you can just find a way to find the things that bring a little bit of joy and happiness. Everyone's looking for the same thing. It's that joy and happiness. And in fact, ironically, that's something my dad used to end most every show with. Say, we travel around the world and we meet so many people from all these different walks of life. And we find one thing, that everyone's looking for that same thing, a little joy and happiness. And tonight, we hope that maybe we brought to you a little bit of that joy and happiness that you have to all of us. Thank you. And it would always resonate. That's the thing I think showbiz has allowed me. When you're standing on a stage and you can see everybody, you see this connection. When you look at a television lens and you feel overwhelmed by maybe the millions that are watching you, learning from the best. Donnie and Marie both told me, said, you look at that lens, you're not looking at millions. You're just looking at one person. Just connect with that person. And that was an honest to goodness great way to be able to learn at a young age that we are all connected in the same lifeboat together. We all have so much more in common than we realize. And the common denominator can be the ugly stuff you don't not want to talk about or address, the pain. But when you look at you outside yourself, you realize you're not alone. You connect on those points. That's why even at the Tribe House, when you start with a story, the shortest distance between two people is a story. And everybody's got something to share, whether it is a high school crazy experience and what's the craziest thing you've ever done for fun, or even as silly as like a snakes and bugs and rats story. Like what happened? You start to just grease the wheels with the human element, saving space for that human element in business. You can be in both places at the same time and realize that you're not a human ATM machine. And I'm not just going to see you as an opportunity, but some way that we can all rise together, all boats rise in the harbor. And I'm not a mosquito that just dines and dashes, but we can be the bee that we can give and take together. And let's make this journey a little bit more pleasant and ability to have that happiness and joy. So live in the pain as much as the joy, and recognize that we are all fighting together to just find a little bit of that happiness. But I'm constantly reminded, because of this pain, how mortal I am and how much I still have. What I can't do versus what I can do is ever present in my life. And you can live your life in two ways. One is if nothing is a miracle, or as if everything is a miracle.
Oh, wow.
Quote from Einstein. And I so agree with that. Every little thing matters. Just being able to be here in this moment right now is miraculous. And so that's why I want to spend as much time as I can with my kids, with my wife, because they remind me of who I am and what matters most, and living in that miracle. That's what gives me a pause to appreciate the good times and the bad times.
Wow, that is good. I love that. I'm going to write in that. I might get that tattooed.
That's good.
Nothing is a miracle, or everything is a miracle. That is powerful.
Yeah, it's awesome. And it sounds like a bumper sticker, and maybe it is. Maybe it sounds like a tattoo, but there's truth in that. All those simple
It's
cliches.
a choice.
Yeah.
It's a choice. When you came up to me today, you said, "Hey, Rob, how are you doing?" And I said, "It's good to be me today."
It's good to be me. That's a great answer.
It's a good answer. I adopted that when I had an awakening in my life. I had this, and I started saying, "It's good to be me," even when on the days it wasn't.
Yeah.
Because it's a choice. It's a perspective. And honestly, like, I've traveled a little bit, nothing like an Osmond, but I've been around the world. And that I woke up in the house that I woke up in today with this mechanism in its working order as it is.
Yeah.
Wow. It is good to be me. And I need to remind myself that. And I'll say it some days where I'm saying it as much to remind myself as I am to remind you that it is good to be Rob. It's good to be Rob. And I've been saying it for 10 or 15 years now. And I've got people that will, they'll ask me, hey, how you doing? And I'll start to say, and they're like, let me guess, it's good to be you. And they'll be like, it is really good to be you. And it's a
great mantra
because we all need that reminder.
It's like Dave Ramsey, better than I deserve. Like, you know what you're going to say before you say it. But if you keep speaking it out, there is power in those words, the affirmation of
call it out.
Call it out. I mean, every neurologist, in fact, I'm doing an interview tomorrow with a neurologist from Yale. And I sit on the board for MS with some great minds that are, all different walks of life, that are, way smarter than I on the intellectual side, no question. But every single neurologist I've ever met for this autoimmune disease has told me that when they diagnose someone in their office, whether it is with cancer or with ALS or multiple sclerosis, they always go one of two ways. It's that kind of that Einstein thing. If they have a negative disposition on life, and it's just, this sucks, and I hate this, and this is the worst thing in my life. And it probably is, but I'm going to focus on that and keep saying it. They always go that way. They'll do worse because of the outlook and the mental side of it. And it's hard. Dis-ease.
Yeah.
But if you have those that have a positive outlook, and even if it's fractional, but it's just minute, they're doing better than we ever expect. My neurologist, and I can't say this is an apples to apples why I'm walking and not in the wheelchair anymore. But they do say the lesion damage that I have on my brain right now and through my spine because of MS is a picture of a guy who could be totally paralyzed. Whether new neural pathways are happening or being created is miraculous. I'm so thankful. Today's a good day. Tomorrow, I don't know what's going to happen. But those neurologists say, if you can just find ways to be as positive as possible and surround yourself with that positivity, you will do better, albeit maybe fractionally, for who knows how long, but it will make all the difference. And coming from great minds and the scientific side of things, they say, we can't put this in a test tube, but it is real. So why not try it? Why not try to force feed the positivity? Maybe some will say that's just rose-colored glasses and you're faking it. You're not being authentic, real. Well, if it's going to hedge my bet, and at the end of the day, I might do that much better, what do I have to lose?
Yeah, that's my real.
I might actually do better.
Yeah.
God forbid.
Yeah. How is that? How would that be that I could live a little bit happier today because I made that choice? I love that. I've asked this question to a lot of guests, and you may have covered it. But if you could, at this ripe old age, go back and here sits this young man in his wheelchair, just lost his music, just lost the most important thing that he'd had up until then, perhaps, in discovering this relationship now with this girl that's going to step in and be that caretaker. If you could put your arm around that kid and whisper in his ear, what would you tell him?
Thanks a lot, Rob. You are not alone, and you're not the only one who's felt this. And there are people who understand what you're going through. And I never believed that. Never believed that until you see someone who is in the fire with you. I was just with the symposium. I went and spent some time with all these students that are graduating, that are going into this field to be caretakers. And I was with a series of people that have MS. And it was the gamut. They were totally paralyzed, completely unable to move, to partially with a cane. And I walked in, and the lady at the front desk looks at me, and I told her I was here with this group, and I was one of the speakers of someone with this. And she goes, "Oh, I thought you were just someone else. I thought people were going to be coming in here, totally disabled." And it reminded me how much I have right now, and also how much someone else doesn't have. So if I would put my arm around someone, I'd be like myself to say, it's going to be okay. It's all right. You're not alone in this, because you can feel very isolated. In fact, for MS, even though it's not a technically terminal disease, I don't have maybe a couple weeks left, like maybe a stage 4 cancer patient. It is a life-altering disease. But one of the greatest causes of the mortality in MS is suicide, because the patient with MS may feel like a complete burden and lack of hope. That's something that a lady named Annette Funicello told my dad. She was part of the Mickey Mouse Club back in the day and very famous. And
I know Annette.
Oh yeah,
She
was a
She's
powerhouse.
Lovely. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
She was a sweetheart and a good friend to my dad. And so she lived with MS. And when my dad got diagnosed, she was one of the first people he called because he didn't know what this was.
no kidding.
When they said, you have MS, he was like, I've never heard of this. What is that? Many sons? He's like, I got 8 of them.
Yeah, I've got it.
And he calls her and she was able to give him some perspective. Even when there was not a lot of answers, even back then in the 80s and the 90s when he was first diagnosed. But she did tell him, she says, Alan, just so you know, it's not the disease that gets you down. It's just the lack of hope. Hold on to hope. If you don't have that, you have nothing. And I think that's a big lesson for life, no matter what the challenge. It is, again, pain inevitable, suffering optional. My dad had this phrase, back to the life is tough, but so are you. My dad spells tough a little bit different. He spells it Tuff. And this is what it is. He goes, in your life, challenges are going to come. But do this, target it, see it, recognize it, don't ignore it. You have to have a visual of what it is. And then you understand it, read up on it, pray about it, meditate on it, learn about it as much as you can, whatever that challenge is in your life, right? F, focus, stay focused on that. Also, the goals you have in mind. What do you want to accomplish despite this challenge? Focus. And then last, F, David, fight. Keep fighting. And that's how you stay tough. So I've lived with that. That example, this that mantra. And yeah, back to the bumper sticker. Maybe that's my tattoo. Tough. But so are you. I try to keep those little mantras around. I literally have a bracelet that says life is tough, but so are you. So that when I see it, when I'm feeling the burning, crushing pain that's here every single second of the day, honestly, what it feels like, it's hard to explain it to people. For me, it feels like I got hit by a car every single day I wake up. And it's there. So it's always kind of that mental torture when I can see those little reminders, little nudges, and I can be surrounded by positivity. I do better. It truly is that same thing the neurologists are always telling me. Find positive in your life and just focus on that. Speak it out. Be a part of it. Maybe you are the placebo, but it's a life much better lived, certainly. So that's how I try to live my life. Again, not perfect. I trip and I fall, even not physically, but also not perfectly executed. But I hope to. I endeavor to be, and I appreciate people like you and connecting with those that also have that same mentality, because it's a good reminder.
What a great answer. That was awesome.
Thanks, man.
That was awesome.
I didn't just, again, music and MS with my dad. I also inherited the waterworks. So I'm just a big old baby.
Yeah. These Kleenexes are on the table for
much.
me. Yeah, help yourself.
Thank you. Awesome.
Oh, man. Well, thank you for coming in and sharing that. There's so many messages, so many good ideas, bumper stickers regardless.
Yeah.
Powerful. So thank you for your time today.
Thank you. And keep up the great work. And to everyone out there, I think I would be the same message. You're not alone. Get involved. Get involved in whatever that tribe, that community is in your life, especially through the challenge. You'll find that you can identify with so many more people going through it. It just makes the journey a little more worthwhile.
If there was a way that I could have my our viewership follow David Osmond, be a part of Tribe House, like how could they get connected in your space?
Oh, you're so nice. Thank you. Well, we're more connected than ever before. I mean, we're just one little tap away, right? Click away from being able to communicate with everybody. There's the social medias out there, whether it's Instagram or LinkedIn, David Osmond, and then Tribe House. You can just do a search, davidosmond.com, or Instagram, I'm at David Osmond. You're welcome to, we can communicate and share, and especially if it's in that MS world. I try and speak at so many different events and be there amongst the crowd, amongst the peers. That peer-to-peer communication. That's what we try to do at Tribe House. That's what we try to do even with when we get together, like in any shape or form. We try to connect with those that we can have meaningful conversation with. And so, yeah, seek out online if you want to follow me on that stuff. I appreciate it. And yeah, let's connect for sure. And surround yourself with the ones that you love and connect with them as well. Even more importantly. these are great devices. It's a blessing, and man, is it a curse as ever. So
At the same time.
also put it down and just look at the people in front of you and have a good conversation. That's where I love that the podcast platform has just exploded. And yeah, there's a lot of saturation. There's a lot of noise out there, but it shows also that we're longing for better conversation, not just a commercial, not just the infomercial, but something that's a little bit deeper. And I think our society is craving that. You can feel it.
Agreed. We're coming around the bend. Connection is where it's at. It's the most important.